Hello, welcome. I'm Julie Getzinger, and I am going to be teaching you today how to get started reading your astrocartography map. So, what is astrocartography, first of all? It is a way to see where all the planets were when you took your first breath, when you entered here on Earth, took your first breath. Where were all the planets aligned, and what were their relationships to each other, and how does that impact your destined life here? So that's how I see astrocartography. And it is a form of astrology. It's relocation astrology, which can show you if you relocate somewhere else, if you travel somewhere else, or you move somewhere else, how will that impact your life? So we use a combination of the birth chart, a relocated birth chart, and your astrocartography maps to see where would be the best place for you to live or to travel to at this time to activate the part of your life that you're wanting to activate. So, for example, if you're feeling really called to get into health in a deeper way, you want to lose weight or be your healthiest self. There are places that will support that. If you want to find your divine love partner, somebody that you feel like is a true soulmate partner for you, where could you find this person? If you're wanting to have more career success, more financial abundance or promotions or business success and growth, where could you find that? And now there are no perfect places. There's likely not a place that's going to give you everything you want for the rest of your life forevermore. We are here to expand and grow. We are not here just to have everything be easy all the time. If we were, we would never appreciate anything and we would never reflect and grow our souls, And that, I believe that's why we're here, is to grow our souls and get a little further than we got last time, if not a lot further than we got last time. If you're a new soul here, welcome. I'm not a new soul here. I've been here many times, and I've been told that I have done this work for lifetimes and lifetimes. I am a psychic intuitive. I'm also an astrocartographer. So when I do private sessions with clients, I do get intuitive hits and I do get information that I meant to share with them from their spirit guides, angels, and departed loved ones. And then I also use the astrocartography maps and birth charts as tools to help see more of the big picture of the person's life. We can dive deeper into any area of their life using the tools, and we can see where would be a better place for them to go now by looking at their astrocartography map. You do need to know your exact birth time in order to find your correct birth chart and astrocartography maps. If you don't know your exact birth time, I did make a video to show how to find your birth time using a pendulum. The link will be below for that video if you're interested in that. If you don't know your birth time, just go to the link to the video below. But if you do know your birth time and you're ready to get started, let's go ahead and dive in. So there is a free software called astro.com, astro.com. And that is a place where you can get started on your own. I did make a cheat sheet to show you what all the planets mean. So if you click on the link below, you can download my cheat sheet to use along with this tutorial today. So this is going to be a short tutorial just to get you started. I've had a lot of people ask me for this, so I figured it's time to go ahead and record this video for you guys. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pull up astro.com. So if you'd like to follow along with me, you can go ahead and do that or pause the video until you have this up. Okay, so astro.com, astro.com. The first time that you go to this site, you are going to need to put in your personal information. And after you've done that, you're going to go ahead to the top button here where I'm circling. It's called My Astro. And when you click on that, you're going to see a button that says Add New Astro Data. So you're going to add a new astro data. You're going to click on that button here. And then when you click on it, you'll see where to enter your information. So you're going to enter in your name. You don't have to give your last name, your gender, your birth date, your time of birth. And this is where I talked about if you don't know the time of birth and you don't have access to your birth certificate, or it's not written on your birth certificate, or your parents don't remember exactly when you were born, you can check my video out called How to Use a Pendulum to Find Your Birth Time. So click on the link below if you need that information. But then you're going to fill in where you were born, the town or city, and what country. And then you're going to click on continue. After you do that, you're going to see your information pop up. So you'll see your name. So this is, I'm just going to use myself as an example. So after I put in my information, my name popped up here. So I'm going to click on my name, and then I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to look for the icon called Astroclick Travel. So I'm circling it right here. It's called Astroclick Travel. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Astroclick Travel. I'm going to scroll down, and now I see my map. So your map is going to look something like this. So there's a bunch of these colorful lines here. And these are astrocartography lines. So all of the lines have a planetary influence and also an angle attached to them. So for example, this line right here, this black line here, is Pluto on the MC. So Pluto, if you click on if you hover over it and there's a little hand icon and you click on that, and then you go to the right-hand column here, it's going to tell you what Pluto represents. So what is the energy of Pluto? You read this over here to see what is the energy of Pluto. And then Pluto is on my MC. So the angle of the MC is representing your reputation, your career, how the public sees you. So Pluto represents power. It represents death and rebirth. It represents power is the main word that's coming to me. It's a powerful influence. So on this line, the Pluto MC line, I'm going to feel more powerful in my career. I'm going to be more seen. I also might be seen having a rebirth. I might have a complete shift in my business, or I might have a complete shift in how the public sees me. Maybe they didn't see me before. Now they see me as a powerful authority. That's another word that comes to mind with Pluto, authority. It's very powerful authority. So if I am ready for that kind of influence in my life, I would zoom in and see, okay, where is the Pluto MC line? I'm going to click on this plus sign here that I'm circling. There's a plus and minus, so there's a zoom in and zoom out. If I click on plus, it's going to take me in closer. And then I can use the hand icon to drag over. I live in the US, so I'm not looking to move out of the US. I am a flight attendant, so I do get to travel internationally if I like to. I'm not feeling called to it at the moment. So mostly I fly domestically, but I can easily just fly out to wherever these lines are and see what the influence is. That's the beauty of my the company that I work for, that I get to do that. But my Pluto MC line is right here on the West Coast. So Washington, Oregon, California, that is where I'm going to step more into my authority as an intuitive, as a psychic, as an astrocartographer, and maybe even feel more powerful as a flight attendant. It represents being more powerful in your career. Maybe my passengers on my plane would listen to me more, take me more seriously, and not just see me as someone who serves them drinks and snacks, right? I'm like, I'm a safety professional, and I am, but a lot of people don't realize that. They just think of what they see, which is you serving drinks, but that's besides the point. But anyway, I would feel more powerful in my career and business along the West Coast. Now I'm going to like, okay, what is this line here? I'm going to click on this line. And then again, I'm going to look to the right and see what this line is. This is my Venus line. Venus is symbolized by a circle, which is located above a cross. The circle represents the spirit, which is conquered and transferred in the cross, the symbol of matter. It's just a little complicated the way they explain it. I'll say that. Venus is money and love. Venus is feeling good. Venus descendant, so the angle is the descendant, represents others. The DC right here means descendant. The MC means your career, your reputation. The IC represents your home life. And so you can see that there's a planetary influence and there's an angle written on this chart here. So Venus on my DC means feeling love from others. That means feeling great connections with clients. That means feeling good connections with my crew and my passengers. Also could be a potential love relationship, romantic relationship. We call the Venus descendant line the honeymooners line. It's a great place for honeymooners to go. And I actually did go on my honeymoon on the West Coast here. I'm no longer married, but when I was married, we did go to Washington, Seattle, and Oregon, and he actually picked it out. I didn't tell him about my astrocartography. He decided he wanted to go there, and I love these places. So actually, that is where we did go on our honeymoon. But also California is a big place for me because you can see my Venus descendant line cuts right through there. So I'm going to zoom in and see where exactly it's cutting through. It's just above Sacramento. It's going through Oregon. It's going through Idaho, Montana. I believe Bozeman is right around here, which is actually, I have 2 trips to Bozeman planned for July, which I'm super, super excited about. But Boise, Idaho would feel really good to me. This area of Oregon, this area of California would feel really good for me. And I don't need to go to the exact line to feel the influence. If I'm within 70 miles, that is in the orb of influence. So that means all of this area that I'm circling, it's about this much influence that I would feel that energy. So all of this, it doesn't mean I have to go the exact line. It's the orb of influence, which is about this far, which I'm trying to circle. So the downside with astrocartography maps on astro.com is that you don't see any measuring tools. And like I said, within 70 miles is the orb of influence. We also don't see any parens. Parens are the latitudinal lines that can deeply impact your experience on those locations too. So the software is limited. It is a free software. It's a good place to start. But if you're wanting to go deeper, I would recommend a software like SolarFire, which is what I use. And it's a great software if you're going to do this professionally, or if you want more accurate results, check out SolarFire. And I'll show you that in just a minute. But this is going to give me the big picture and just to give me some indication of where would be good places for me to find love, to feel more powerful and successful in my career. Now I'm going to look at home. So if you look at this line here, this orange line cutting through the Midwest, this is my sun IC line, which means I'm going to feel really vibrant from the home. I'm going to feel the sun represents social energy, represents confidence, feeling good about yourself, being more seen. So this is going to help me be more seen from home. As an entrepreneur, that's really helpful because I do all my online work from home. And currently, I don't have a home per se. I'm living in Boston, but I don't really consider it my home. I just consider it my crash pad and a place that I land in between my flight attendant trips. But I am looking for a place that feels more home. So for me, going to the Midwest would feel much better as a place to go for home. The Sun IC line is also a place recommended for people who are looking to retire. So if you want to retire, check out your Sun IC line. And then some other lines that would be very beneficial are the Jupiter line. So the pink line is Jupiter, which is represents success, abundance, good luck, prosperity, expansion. Mine is going through New York, Washington, D.C., which is around where I was born. I was born in Baltimore. But this vicinity is expansive for me. It's good luck for me. It's also tied to my Mercury IC line. The Mercury line represents writing, teaching, speaking. I've been a teacher my whole entire life. I've enjoyed writing and speaking. Well, maybe not speaking in the first part of my life because I have some wounding. My Chiron is in my 3rd house of communication in my birth chart. So I definitely have wounding around being heard and speaking in my early part of my life. But now I love speaking. I love teaching. I love writing. And that energy is on the East Coast here, which is what I've done the first half of my life. Writing, teaching, speaking. I was a public school teacher, which is interesting. I was an elementary school teacher, which is even more interesting because I was meant to use that energy a lot early in my career, which I did. And now I'm feeling called to do more of the astrocartography work and more exploring, traveling. I'll show you this in my birth chart in just a minute. But my birth chart shows that my MC is in the sign of Sag, and Sagittarius is the sign of aviation. I'm a flight attendant right now. It's also the sign of exploration and being on a quest and being a visionary. I'm an astrocartographer. So I am living my chart right now to its fullest as far as career goes. And I'm just using these as tools of confirmation. But when you're brand new to this, you want to just go ahead and look at where your main astrocartography lines are, click on them, and then see what pops up on the side here. Read that, try to interpret that to the best of your ability. I don't know why they wrote in such complicated language, but go ahead and try to interpret that as best as you can. All right, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to show you solar fire. So solar fire is what I use for more specific guidance. So for solar fire, I'm going to go ahead and let me pull that up. So I'm just going to pause the video here so I can pull up that information. So let me do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit pause. Stop sharing. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Now I'm going to share my screen and show you what solar fire looks like. So this is what I recommend if you plan to do this professionally or you want the most accurate results for your birth chart and also your astrocartography map. Okay, so this is my birth chart pulled up here. I do use whole signs. That's what I learned from my teacher. And I am certified as an astrocartographer. I studied under Helena Woods, who is a very well-known, successful astrocartographer. And she has vetted me, tested me, and approved me as a certified astrocartographer. She's listed me on her website as one of her recommended readers. And I'm so grateful to her for, referring me and teaching me, because she's an amazing teacher. And I do recommend her, all of her courses and everything she does. She's incredible. Okay, so for my birth chart here, I spoke earlier of my career. So at this time in my life, I'm so focused on career. I'm so focused on paying down all my debt so that I can feel completely financially free, because I am free in my love life. I'm currently single. I am free in my home life. I have an amazing airline that finances my hotels, and I get to stay in gorgeous, luxurious hotels all over the world. I'm free in career. I get to do this art that I love for my business. So like my health is good. Everything is going great in my life. And so what I'm most focused on now is my career, because I want to focus on paying down debt. So my career house is my 10th house. My career has Sagittarius ruling this house. I spoke earlier about Sagittarius is the sign of adventure, exploration, travel. It's actually the sign of aviation, which I'm working in aviation right now. It's the visionary. I am a psychic intuitive. I'm a visionary. I am an astrocartographer. So all of that is perfectly aligned right now. I also have Neptune in this house. So Neptune is represented by this symbol. Neptune rules spirituality, creativity. It also rules illusion, idealism. So the shadow of Neptune is that you can have some fogginess, some confusion. And then the supportive aspect of Neptune is creativity, spirituality, being very dreamy, having a great imagination. So I've experienced both in my life. I've had confusion around career. I've had some disillusionment around my work, not knowing like how am I supposed to show up for the public. And then I've also had some really great success as a spiritual intuitive and a teacher. So I am living my chart right now. I'm focusing on this area of my life. I'm living my chart. And then there are other houses that represent money. The second house and the eighth house as well represent money from others, and what you value, what you possess would be the second house. I'm not going to go really deep into all this because it would take me hours, and this is meant to be a short tutorial. But just to give you an overview, this is the birth chart that I look at first when I do private readings with people, so that I can look at all areas of life, and all of these houses represented by the 1 through 12 represent different areas of life. If you don't have any planets in that house, it doesn't mean you're not going to experience that area of life. You look to the planet that rules that house, and then you also look to which planet rules that planet, and it can give you more information. So astrology is all about layers upon layers that give you more and more information. And then we look at how the planets are aspected or related to each other. The blue lines mean they're supported. They get support from each other. The red lines are tension. They're causing restriction or some kind of challenge. Everybody has both blue supportive lines and red challenging lines. We all have both. When I look at some people's birth charts, I can see they've had more challenge in their life, or they will have more challenge. Other people don't. But we all have challenges. We all have support. We all have challenges. Okay, so that's just a brief overview of the birth chart. And then I'm going to look at my astrocartography map. So if I go to this world icon here and I click on that, since I am interested in learning more about where would be a good place for me to live next, I did see that my sun IC line was going through the Midwest. And so if I wanted even more information about the Midwest, so on this map, it's represented right here, what I'm circling, the sun IC line. So my sun IC line is going right through Wisconsin here and next to Minnesota. You can see these yellow lines, these latitudinal lines, these are parents. So look at all of these parents that I have in this area near my sun IC line. So if I just looked at astro.com and just saw, oh, the sun IC line is there, it must be really great for home, and I didn't look at all these other lines, I could be completely misled because all of these lines mean something too. I am specifically looking at Minneapolis, Minnesota to move. So I want to look at this parent here. What is this parent? It's my moon Chiron line. Moon represents home, represents emotions. Chiron is the healer, it's the teacher. And so to me, that interpretation is healing my relationship with home, healing my relationship with my emotions. I've been told that I'm too emotional, I'm too dramatic, I'm too feeling, I'm too sensitive. I've heard that by unsupportive partners in the past. I'm too sensitive, I'm too emotional. It was really just an excuse for them to disrespect me and then me to not react. I know that now, but I didn't know it at the time. I thought there was something wrong with me because I kept hearing you're too sensitive. And I'm like, wait up, I'm a psychic intuitive. If I wasn't sensitive, I wouldn't be a psychic intuitive. So people will shame you or tell you what's wrong about you because it makes them have light on their not so great sides. But anyway, I digress a little bit. We're going to dive deeper into this during my retreat coming up in October, by the way. All the relationship healing that wants to happen and home healing, emotion healing, all of that. Anyway, back to the chart. So that is going to be an influence in my time in Minneapolis, should I choose to move there. I also have all these other parents. So if I click on them, it will pop up what they mean. I have a description right here, my Neptune moon line. I'm soft and imaginative here and sensitive. This is the line that I was born on in Maryland. This is exactly the line I was born on, which is so interesting that that's near where I'm looking to move in Minneapolis to bring back that influence of me being the soft, imaginative, sensitive person that I was born to be. It's who I am, right? So that confirms further Minneapolis would be a good place for me to move. The other thing I want to look at is my relocated chart. So there's all these pieces, all these layers to look at that, again, if you just looked at astro.com and didn't look at these other layers, you wouldn't get the full story. So now that I'm serious about considering Minneapolis as a move, I'm going to pull up a new chart here, a relocated chart, and say Julie in Minneapolis. I have my birth date information here, and I'm going to change it. If I move to Minneapolis, Minnesota, what would happen? How would my birth chart shift? If I move to Minneapolis, this is my relocated chart. I am a Pisces rising as being born in Maryland. If I move to Minneapolis, I am going to feel like an Aquarius rising, which is completely different sign. Aquarius is the innovator. Aquarius is someone who does things differently. They're quirky. They're like considered like weird or, just different. They're different. And having Aquarius rule my first house rather than Pisces will make me feel like more of the innovator. People also might listen more to my wisdom around astrocartography. They might take it more seriously. They might be like, maybe there's something to this. As a Pisces rising, Pisces energy is very fluid. It's very spiritual, very creative. People do think of Pisces risings as psychics, because we are more psychic. We can swim in between realms, and we're not just in this present day earth living experience. But the Pisces energy is very different than the Aquarius. Aquarius is the innovator, so doing things differently. So that's supportive. I like that. I also had my Chiron, which I'm circling here, was in my third house of my local community, my early childhood years. Healing that has now shifted to the fourth house of home, roots, and family. So to me, that means if I move to Minneapolis, I'm going to be doing more healing work around roots, ancestry, home, family, my relationship with home, which is beautiful because that's exactly what I want to do at this time in my life. I want to know my ancestors on a deeper level. I want to feel more at home where I live. I don't want to have to feel like I have to move around so much to feel at peace, right? So that's supportive. I also have the sun and Mercury move into my fifth house of creativity and pleasure and romance and passion. That's an amazing placement to have your sun in. That means feeling on purpose and having more people see my creative work, seeing me as a creative, seeing me as a spiritual teacher. Gemini rules this house. It's the writer, teacher, speaker. Mercury also rules communication. This is a really powerful placement for my planets to shift into if I want to come out more as that writer, teacher, speaker, and doing it in a way that feels creative and pleasurable. That's an incredible placement for me. The Venus sign represents love and money. It moves into my sixth house of everyday life and my job. That means I'm going to feel the Venus energy every day of my life, which is amazing, right? And before it was in my fifth house of romance, pleasure, children, creativity, which means that I felt the most pleasure being when I was creative, feel pleasure being with my children, feeling pleasure in dating and romance. And that's all true and beautiful. But having it move into my sixth house means I'm going to feel that on an everyday basis, which is incredible. So much shifts for me if I decide to move to Minneapolis. So looking at your relocated chart is also really helpful. I realize that this is a lot of information, and I could teach this for hours and hours. And this is meant to be, again, a short tutorial. But I just wanted to give you a taste of what is out there when you start to explore your birth chart and your astrocartography map. And there's so much to it. It's so much fun to learn, and it's so much fun to just play with. And if you can take a trip somewhere, if you can just get an Airbnb somewhere or get a hotel and just stay for the day, visit these places your intuition is calling you to, and then document what happens, document how you feel in these places, what unfolds for you while you're there. Write about it. When you get back, write about it. How do you feel differently now that you've gone back to the place you call home? Does it feel more restrictive for you, or does it feel more like you can relax? Your body will tell you. If your body's more relaxed, if you're having fun, if you're happier, that is a yes. If you feel constricted, if you feel sore, if you feel inflamed, if you feel anxious, that's not how you're meant to feel. That is not the normal state. You're meant to be in joy. You're meant to be in pleasure. You're meant to be in peace, right? Like if you're not in pleasure or in joy, peace. Like you are meant to have peace. Does that mean you'll never have challenges that take away your peace? No. But where you're located does impact that greatly. So that's why I'm so passionate about astrocartography, because if you're going through a hard transit, if you're going through a hard time in your life, you can change the channel. You can go somewhere else and shift that story and make it lighter for you. I did this when my Saturn was transiting my first house of identity and my body and my character. I got rid of my house in Maryland. I went house sitting across the US and found that the West Coast was my sweet spot. I was so happy, so relaxed on the West Coast, which is why I fly there all the time for my flight attendant position, because I feel the most relaxed there. I feel the most at peace and joy. I meet people. It's a great place for being in pleasure and fun and passion. And then looking at the Midwest now has come into my experience of wow, this could feel really good for me as a place to have a home base, because we all want that feeling of home. We all want the feeling of like, I can rest here. I can feel at peace here. And if you're like me, you can be a successful entrepreneur there, right? So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, comment below what you learned, what new insights you got, where are you considering moving or traveling to, and how has your astrocartography map helped you to see that that's a good place for you, or any questions you have, put them below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe. I'm going to be posting more videos about the different angles that you can travel on, the different planetary influences, how I experience them, how that has impacted my life. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. If you want to book a personal reading with me, the link will be below. And again, if you want to explore your chart more on astro.com, click on the cheat sheet link below. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.